Hello and welcome to the Cryptocurrency News channel. Now we're going to talk about yesterday's drop. Things seem to have stabilized a bit because we actually did dip around 45,000. Now we're around 46,300 and it looks like we're probably going to go back up soon. But why did it dip? Now there are a couple of theories. One is that El Salvador's ruling really pissed off the IMF and the US and they wanted to tank Bitcoin for revenge. Now, to teach them a lesson. Now, I have a little bit of a problem with this. I don't really know how much Bitcoin the IMF has or the US has. We know most of the Bitcoin is actually in possession of the whales. And I don't think they would have dumped just to teach El Salvador a lesson. Most of these whales are probably not pro-government US. I mean, people who created Bitcoin definitely are not pro-government US. I think they'd be more libertarian than anything else. So I'm not really sure about that theory. Yes, the government could have stored up some Bitcoin and tried to dump, or the IMF could have tried to dump on El Salvador. And if that's really their plan, they're really, really desperate to stop it. And they're going to fail because it has actually stabilized. And the president of El Salvador basically just trolled him by saying he bought 150 more Bitcoin on the dip. So if this was trying to punish El Salvador, they basically failed. And they're not really going to be able to keep up this charade for too long, so I wouldn't really worry about that. But I don't really think that's the thing. I really don't think that's the thing here that really dumped the market, because realistically, I don't really think the IMF actually had that many Bitcoin. And I really think most of the Bitcoin is actually in the hands of a couple of whales that aren't associated with the IMF or the United States government. Now, the second thing I think is actually a lot more tenable, and that is the DeFi news with Coinbase and the SEC. Now, the SEC is getting really, really aggressive. Now, Gensler's SEC just basically continued what Clayton's SEC has done. I was hoping Gensler would be better than Clayton, but he seems like he's just a continuation of Jay Clayton, keeping up the lawsuit against Ripple, and also now threatening to sue Coinbase over the lending project. Now, threatening DeFi actually has a lot of consequences for crypto in the United States, and since the United States is such a hotbed for investment because we have a lot of spare money, at least the rich people here do, we have a lot of spare money, that could definitely hurt the market. Because a lot of the other countries, they will take the US as a lead, especially in the realm of DeFi. We know that DeFi is full of scams and rug pulls, so it really hasn't helped itself to avoid regulations. And realistically, it's a very easy target because you have a bunch of scams and rug pulls on a bunch of projects that are 99% not actually decentralized. Most of them, even the biggest swaps, are not fully decentralized. They have a central point of failure, so it's easy for the SEC and other government agencies to go after them. They just haven't done so yet. Everyone knew, I think everyone and their mom knew that this was coming. And if the DeFi was truly decentralized, no one would be worried. But it's just the fact that everyone out there knows it's not truly decentralized. That's why they're worried, and that's why they're yelling against it, because they know the SEC can target the sector. If they were truly decentralized, the SEC actually couldn't target the sector. But since that's actually not the case, the SEC is targeting the sector, and it is going to have a big effect because DeFi was such a huge part of the growth in the last bull run. Now, NFTs, a lot of people are saying, well, the SEC target NFTs. NFTs I don't think are going to be considered securities. I mean, fractionalized NFTs might be considered securities, but whole NFTs where you just sell to one person are not going to be considered securities. The SEC is not going to be the agency, I don't think, that goes after them. I think it'd more be the IRS, because a lot of that is used for tax fraud and money laundering, and that's more the IRS's deal. So I would expect more from them in the future, not so much the SEC. But DeFi is definitely part of the SEC's space. And they could argue that a lot of those are securities, because I feel like a lot of the governance tokens don't really do anything, and they're basically there to make their creators money. So because they can be targeted and because they are really sketchy, I think the whole space, a lot of these projects just might close because they know they can't basically undergo the scrutiny by the SEC, or they pull out of the United States where a lot of their funding actually comes from. And I think the EU and other countries, once they see what's going on with the US SEC and DeFi, will clamp down as well. I think a lot of these loaning programs will actually be sort of shut down or at least restricted, and the liquidity from those things will sort of dry up. Now, there's going to be legitimate programs, maybe like AVAX and others that will AVAX, Compound, and others that will survive, but the majority of them, I think, will actually be shut down, and that would be actually a pretty big blow to crypto. So I think that's actually a reasonable reason that we're actually going down. Not so much the IMF punishing El Salvador thing. It might just be a one-time hit, because I think like people will still invest in DeFi. They'll use VPNs to invest in DeFi, and the countries can't really stop that. But at least like in the beginning, it will actually hurt. So I think we will recover after a week or two, but I think you'll see like more DeFi prosecutions by governmental authorities because they're very easy targets and they're very easy wins for the governmental authorities because DeFi isn't really decentralized. So that's what I have to say for today. Let me know what you think, like and subscribe, and hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.